Mr. Chairman, Secretary Becerra, welcome. Do you believe it's important that we understand how the coronavirus originated?
Absolutely.
Is there somebody in your agency, your department, that is spearheading the investigation to determine that?
We have done taken a number of initiatives to try to move forward there, including having our OIG take a closer look.
So you're saying it's the OIG? I mean, is there somebody within the department outside the Inspector General that is spearheading this? Somebody in charge?
CDC, NIH are also doing a scrub. We're all trying to get as much information. The difficulty is that we're not getting a lot of cooperation from some of the sources externally that probably can give us.
Let's talk about lack of cooperation, because I'd say the same thing's true in terms of cooperation out of the agencies. Do you believe the public has a right to know how the agencies are spending their money and how they're operating?
The public does have a right to know, yes.
There's two primary methods for that. You have FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests, and then you also have congressional oversight. Would you agree that FOIA is generally subjected to more redactions than congressional oversight would be?
I wouldn't say that, but we do have to be careful what goes into the public domain. We're respecting confidentiality and privacy.
I understand. There are some exceptions that are very explicit out there. That a lot of them make sense, but I would argue, I think many people do, that congressional oversight really is not subject to those same redactions, particularly when we have security clearances and we can take a look at classified information that is appropriately redacted under FOIA. Let me give you a couple examples. We requested these documents. By the way, in June of 2021, under a FOIA request, court ordered 4,000 pages of different documents, primarily emails of Anthony Fauci, were produced under the FOIA. In September 2021, that month, we had 5 members of Homeland Security Governmental Affairs ask for those same pages unredacted. And there's a law that says you shall turn that over to us. In September 2021, we started working with HHS to produce those documents in an accommodated process. So we narrowed the 4,000 pages down to 400 to get those things unredacted. They weren't handed over to us. What we did, we were allowed to read them 50 pages at a time in a reading room and take notes. Some productions we did get, for example, we got this document dated February 4th between Anthony Fauci, Jamie Farrar of the Wellcome Company, and Francis Collins. You see the redactions here. This is the same document produced under FOIA without the redactions. So now we know what was redacted, and this was redacted, by the way, under B4, which is trade secrets. One thing that was redacted here is Anthony Fauci saying, serial passage in ACE2 transgenic mice. In other words, humanized mice. They were talking about Farrar is writing to Francis Collins, remains a very real possibility of accidental lab passage in animals to give glycans. He said that Eddie thinks it's a 60-40 lab side. Farrar said he thinks it's 50-50. Again, this is February 4th. There's nothing to do with trade secrets in that redaction. Another example. This is February 2nd. Again, this is when they're understanding that they funded this dangerous research, and now they're into cover-up mode. Here's what we got in our production, the heavy redactions. This is what was released under FOIA. Now, this was released under the B5 exception, which is privileged information within or between agencies. Again, this is with Jamie Farrar of the Wellcome Trust. So we had redactions with, privileged information. It didn't apply, and we still had it redacted. I don't have time to get into that. This is completely inappropriate. And by the way, you have produced 350 pages to us in the reading room. For over a year, we've been asking for the last 50 pages. This is what the 50 pages look like, okay? Now, again, I would argue congressional oversight should not be subject to the same redactions that were applied under a FOIA request. I'm asking you, will you commit today to provide our oversight? And Senator Paul is on this now. Again, we had 5 members of Homeland Security Governmental Affairs under a law that says you shall provide this, will you commit to provide us the last 50 pages of communication between Anthony Fauci, Francis Collins, Jamie Farrar, as relates to the origin of the coronavirus? Will you commit to that?
Senator, I absolutely will commit to make sure we follow up with you on your request to get some of that information. Again, this is in compliance with the law that you receive the information. I don't know what particular statute with regard to disclosure was applied here, but you are absolutely entitled to the information that by law a member of the Senate or the House should get.
Again, you're not complying with the law because you're redacting things, for example, under deliberative process between and within agencies, and it's communication outside of the agencies with the Welcome Trust. Again, these redactions are not complying with the law. So again, I'll appreciate, we will follow up with you. I expect to see the unredacted 50 pages very soon.
We can comply with the law, Senator, but we absolutely will make sure we follow up with you.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Next is Senator Cortez Masto.